If you're trying to get a job in the games industry in 2026, I want to make something very clear up front. Most people failing to get in right now, it's not because they're not talented, it's because they're following advice about how studios used to work, not how they're working going into 2026. So that's what I want to do in this video. I want to break down how studios are hiring and what they're hiring for in this video. So you'll go away with the knowledge of what to look for going forwards. It's not motivation, it's not theory. This is based on my experience in the AAA space right now, along with helping people with their portfolio reviews and their career guidance as part of my consultancy. Everything I'm going to talk about here is real outcomes, not guesswork. So first up, let's talk about the industry shift, because in 2026, the thing to understand about the industry is that it's no longer entry-level friendly. Studios are leaner and teams are smaller. This means hiring mistakes often more expensive for companies to deal with, which makes them risk adverse when doing hiring. So as a result, companies are not hiring based on potential anymore. They're not asking, hey, could somebody grow into this role? Let's hire a junior who might grow into this. They're asking who could do this role right now. I have personal experience here of so many projects in recent times just needing that 1 or 2 extra people. And you can't afford to sit there and train somebody and hope they can get the potential of entering into that position. You have to hire somebody who already knows the job, because you've only got a certain amount of time to your next deadline, and you obviously can't miss your release window. So the takeaway for this section is the studios these days are trying to hire low risk contributors. They need to know somebody can come in and make a contribution straight away with no risk attached. Let's talk about why portfolios are failing in 2026 as well. Most portfolios fail for one reason. They demonstrate skill, but not judgment. Portfolios are very good at showing off mechanics, levels, artwork, concepts, you name it, you can put it in a portfolio. But what they are not answering is a question. And that question is, would I trust this person with a live production problem? That's why even though some people have kick-ass portfolios, everybody still looks at like, have you shipped a project before? Like, what companies have you worked at? So it's still answering that question of, have you solved a live production problem before? Let's break down a little bit about what that actually genuinely means for you. So the questions a recruiter is actually trying to answer when they ask that question is, can you scope things realistically? Can you finish things? Can you explain trade-offs? And can you debug your own decisions, basically? All these kind of questions will pop up over the course of a project in a real environment. Can you do it? I reviewed so many portfolios over the years that look absolutely amazing. You go to the website, you're like blown away by the level of skill demonstrated. But then when you call them in for an interview, it's like, oh, how long did it take you to do this? And they're like 3 years. And it's like, well, you can't spend 3 years on one asset in a game production. How is that realistic? And then you kind of start to unravel from there. So you need to treat these portfolio pieces and answer these questions in a realistic timescale and manner. So let's talk about the real entry point in 2026, because I'm sure a lot of you are wondering. So, and here's the uncomfortable truth. It used to be about ship something cool, something flashy, something, nice and, whiz bang. However, that is no longer the case going into 2026. You now need to understand and demonstrate you know how production works. This can mean a few things. It can mean shipping a small, boring project which is complete. It can be about writing documentation. It can be about creating patches, fixing broken systems, and improving games instead of inventing new ones. These are all production issues that in the industry we deal with on a day-to-day basis. We're sadly not often working on the biggest, the sexiest, the flashiest things. Some days you're just writing documentation. So as a result, you need to show, I can find a problem, I can solve the problem, I can document the problem. And that is pretty much what we do in production. Therefore, if you demonstrate that, you are showing you are reliable, or more reliable than somebody who can make a big flashy feature that doesn't really get finished into anything. And this is kind of why self-starters are demonstrating the market right now, because we've gone through this much needed change in recent years with especially work from home, Now, people are having to direct themselves more and more, less and less about a producer like me sitting behind somebody and going, do this Jira ticket, then do that Jira ticket, and then do this Jira ticket. It's more about taking on work yourself and trying to amplify your abilities in the project. And there's also a production cost to that as well. If you're waiting to be told what to do, you've suddenly become a bottleneck. So it's also a negative thing to be sat there waiting for somebody to tell you what next, boss. So what do we really mean when we mention like that self-starting kind of thing? So studios, they really like to see like self-assigned tasks. Like if you can take a game from start to finish all by yourself, brilliant, clearly demonstrated that. Professional bug reports for those in QA, it's very helpful and you can just write it yourself. Clear commit histories for programmers. Evidence of iteration is a very good one. You know, you don't want to just leave something. And ownership of problems. If you see something and you spot it, you go, okay, I'll fix that now. That's why the portfolio pieces I recommend these days to the people that I consult with is modding, reverse engineering mechanics, writing design breakdowns, and rebuilding mechanics from existing games. They're all incredibly powerful portfolio pieces that demonstrate that you can be production ready. At this point, if you're thinking, man, I could really do with a portfolio update, or my portfolio needs some work, and you're serious about breaking into the industry, I do offer direct personalized feedback through my consulting calls. There is a link in the description to my one-on-one sessions. We can review your portfolio, we can identify what's holding you back, and we can create a plan for your targeted role and studios. No pressure on that though. I'll keep making these videos either way. It's just an option if you feel like you need some one-on-one time. So moving on then, if you feel like you've got a strong portfolio, maybe you feel like you're getting ignored at the application stage. So let's take a look at that, because applications in 2026 are not about volume. You'll probably have to make a lot of applications, yes, but each one should be tailored to who you're targeting. Studios are now looking for alignment. And what I mean by that is, do you reference the studio's actual work? Does your portfolio content match the position, the role they're offering? Do you speak the language of their production rather than just of passion? And do you demonstrate you understand their constraints? You don't need to impress everyone with your portfolio. You just need to demonstrate that you're a safe, reliable hire just for one hiring manager. Over the years, I've seen so many portfolios and a lot of them have looked very similar, especially students coming out of university. Most courses teach around the same kind of things and styles, so they all seem to blend together. However, I have had some students in the past, the students I've instantly picked up, say, hey, this piece here, I did it outside of school. It took me X amount of time. I spent X amount of time doing this, this, and this. And I was instantly able to understand that they knew about timelines, they knew about production scales, because they're demonstrating that they know that time is valuable and that a project only has a certain amount of it. So they're telling me how long each piece took. And that was perfect. That was enough to elevate them above everybody else that was just spamming out the schoolwork they'd done that year. After all of that, I hope breaking into the games industry in 2026 doesn't sound unachievable to you, because it's absolutely not, but it does require you to think a little differently. Think like the people that would hire you. Think like a studio rather than an individual contributor. Focus on reducing risk, showing judgment, shipping complete work, and behaving like a professional before they've even hired you. If you've done all of this, you will be a very good hire, honestly. If you found this video useful, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel. Likes and comments, all that stuff. Also, love it. Brilliant. Thank you so much. I will post regularly about careers, about production, about life inside the games industry. So I hope to see you in the next one.